Am I the idiot for telling my daughter the truth about why I wasn't in her life? To start, my ex and I were 19 when she got pregnant. We had recently broken up and she found out a couple weeks later that she was pregnant. She said she planned to get an abortion but only wanted her sister there. So I was always under the belief that she had aborted. She only contacted me once saying it was done, and we didn't speak again. Fast forward 19 years later, I found out a month ago that was a lie. My ex passed away 3 years ago, and my daughter Kara has been living with her uncle. He was the one to reach out to give me a heads up after she expressed an interest in wanting us to connect. He and I spoke at length because I was feeling some pretty strong emotions like rage for never being told about her. My ex had backed out of the abortion but didn't want me involved because we were broken up, so decided just not to tell me. But he told me that Kara doesn't know about that. Apparently I wasn't ready for fatherhood because we were both young, so I bailed. I couldn't believe it. Rob, her uncle, told me he knows his sister was wrong for that but promised Kara doesn't have any negative feelings towards me, and my ex never painted me as some villain, just a young guy who knew he couldn't properly care for her. He asked me not to tell Kara this when we talk if she asks, and because it could hurt the way she saw her mom. I never actually confirmed I would. Kara messaged me and we've been talking. I've met her twice and it's been crazy emotional. Looking at this girl who looks just like me and hurting that we're just barely getting to know each other. So far our conversations have only been about what her life was like, how my life is, what her wants/future goals are, and getting to know each other. We met again Tuesday and she finally decided to ask the obvious questions about what made me not be involved. How did I feel? What went through my mind? Did I ever think about her, etc.? I had been thinking about what to do, but at that moment I just didn't have it in me to lie, so I was honest. That I was told about the abortion, had no idea she even existed until now, but that I still really want to be in her life and have the chance to be her father if she wants that. Kara was a bit emotional. We talked some more, and said she still wants me involved. That night my messages were blowing up. Not just from Rob but her grandparents as well. They're all outraged for telling Kara about her mom because she yelled at all of them and is refusing to even take their calls. Yes, the lie was terrible, but I just ruined the image she had of her late mother for my own benefit. Rob called me a selfish prick for not taking into consideration how this would affect Kara finding out about this. So right now I feel like poop. I get. Honesty is the best policy, but in this case I don't know if I was an idiot for doing it. I'm still learning this whole dad business, so don't know if I dropped the ball here. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your ex lied. Your ex created this mess. I'm sorry she passed, but she did this. You have no obligation to continue a lie you had no part of. Your daughter deserved the truth. Comment 2. Wow. It's a clear everyone sucks here. Your ex was terrible for lying to you. But in no way should any person be told. Your mom almost aborted you. She can't even confront her mom about it. You could have been vague and said, I didn't know about you. And I'm not judging your ex for considering abortion. At 19, it's that I wouldn't have thought about it myself. But once a child is born, you don't tell them they could have been aborted. It's unnecessarily cruel. I know someone who was told this by their stepmother. It's in no way okay. Now for the update. I made this post a couple months back and I wanted to share what's been going on. This was a really big mess, and thank you for all your reassurance. For telling me that Kara deserved to know the truth. There was still some guilt I carried with me for days until she called me again now that she had time to process. Kara thanked me for being honest about what happened, and we had a deep conversation about what she's going through. She and her mom always had a very strained relationship even until she passed away, so there was still a lot of anger and resentment she never got to have closure for. Now learning this new lie her mom told her about me, well, it opened a lot of other mixed feelings. She has been in therapy even before her mother died to deal with their issues, so Kara is working this out with someone, which I am happy to know. Many of you were suggesting therapy for her, so at least she already had that down. My daughter's still mad at her family. She talked to them a couple times before stopping communication. Kara knows she'll forgive them eventually. But for right now, she says she wants them to live with the consequences, so hasn't had any contact with them. I did express my concern over her shutting them out, but she says it's not forever. She's still trying to process this betrayal and get to a place where she'll accept them back into her life. At the moment she's still living with her friend and wants to keep things that way. So far I have declined any financial help I offer. She just wants to work out her anger and let them sit with this for a while. I had to do some blocking still for my own peace of mind. Things are a work in progress, but I'm happy to report that we're getting along fine. Kara's been over so many times and has met my fiancé. We're learning so much about each other, even if sometimes it's hard not to get emotional over childhood memories she talks about, knowing I couldn't be there for them. Still in the process of finding a therapist myself, because this has been pretty heavy on me too, and still have no idea what the hell I'm doing as a parent. Thanks for your words of encouragement, and all the advice from fellow parents. I kept getting asked for an update on this, so sorry it took me a while to remember to post something. Comment 1. Good luck, mate. Don't focus on what you missed in her life. Just make sure you give her the best of yourself for the future. You sound like an awesome dad already. You both deserve some happiness. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Kara was owed the truth about what happened. Her mother's family is only upset that they got caught out in participating in a damaging, hurtful lie. They don't care about how Kara feels about her mother, but only that she knows they willingly lied to her. You are a good dad to build the relationship slowly and let it be based on honesty. If you had lied and Kara found out, she would have huge issues with trusting anyone again. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for insisting that my brother and his girlfriend not wear gross clothes in my car? I, 28F, have a very sensitive nose. I can't do perfume. I tell guys not to wear cologne on a date. I can't be around cigarette or pot smoke, or I start gagging. My whole family knows this and for the most part are very supportive. This weekend, my brother, 24M, called me up at 2 a.m. because he and his girlfriend, 22F, had missed the last train out of the city because they met up with some people at a bar and wound up going back to their place for a bit. He asked me to come get him. My apartment is 40 minutes outside the city and our parents, who he lives with, are about an hour away. I told him to get an Uber because if they reeked of alcohol, cigarettes, and weed, I didn't want them in my car. He said it would be too expensive, promised they didn't smell, and begged me to come. I told him that as long as they didn't smell, I would come get him, but that I was prepared to leave him if he did. I got to the address about an hour later. They came out and it was clear they were both drunk. My brother went to hug me and I could immediately smell weed on him. I started retching, told him it wasn't going to work, and to call Uber. We showered! There's no way you're smelling anything. It's all in your head, he said to me. Apparently their solution was to shower in these people's apartment, thinking that would get rid of the tobacco and weed smell on their clothes. I told them to call an Uber and got back into my car. He banged on the window. I told him that he wasn't getting in my car like that. I told him I'd give him half the money for an Uber, and I was leaving. He told me to just roll the windows down. I told him that I didn't want it in my car. He said, I showered! These are the only clothes I have. I can't ride home naked. That gave me an idea. I opened my trunk, grabbed 2 blankets and 2 trash bags. I told them to put their clothes in the bags and cover up with the blankets. His girlfriend handed it back and said, Fuck that. I'll walk, and walked away. My brother told me I was out of my mind, and it was all in my head. I reached in my wallet, pulled out $50 and said to call Uber. He handed it back, told me to hold up, and ran after his girlfriend. They came back and he asked if they could sit in the back with the windows open. I told him I wouldn't be able to stand it for an hour. So they begrudgingly stripped, put their clothes in the bags, and I tied them off and threw them in the trunk. I drove them to our parents' house in silence, and dropped them off without a thank you. My brother's girlfriend unfriended me on Facebook. He and she are not speaking, and my mom is furious with me saying that I embarrassed them and I was being overly sensitive. She says I should have called her so she could have gotten them. My mom goes to bed at 9, so I don't think she would have been thrilled. I feel bad that I put that condition on it, but I would not have been able to tolerate being in my car otherwise. Edit. I'd been asked to add some info into my post that I answered in the comments. My reaction to smell is very extreme. I retch, I gag, I throw up, my eyes water, my stomach churns. I get migraines, my heart races, I get chills that make everything else worse. I could not have driven home with that stench in my car. We would not have been safe. Everyone who is voting that I'm the idiot seems to think I forced this girl to take off her clothes to punish or humiliate her. There is no part of me that enjoyed asking my brother to give up his clothes to get in my car. I had no smile on my face, and I apologized to them for being so sensitive to smell. I pushed for Uber. I even offered to cover most of it. It would have been $65 for them to get home. They didn't want to get in an Uber when they were in that condition. I was embarrassed to ask them to strip, but there was not a way for me to make it an hour with them in the car in those clothes. I did not tell them to get naked. I told them to put their clothes in the bag. They went behind the car. I had my back to them and was keeping my distance. My brother handed me the bags and I tied them up and threw them in the trunk without inspecting them. The blankets were a good size, so all you could really see is that both were barefoot and had removed their shirts and pants. I do not know if they left their underwear on or were naked under there. Any intimate bits were covered. Now for a few comments before the update. Pressuring your brother's drunk girlfriend to strip off and get into your car when she already made it clear she wasn't comfortable with it was a pretty crappy thing for both you and your brother to do, TBH. I'm not at all surprised she unfriended you and isn't speaking to your brother, and you trying to play the victim here because she didn't thank you is not a great look. Everyone sucks here. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. Them for not making good choices. But TBH, you sound like a lot. I also have sensory issues, and sometimes you just have to be an adult and try to just deal with it. I gag daily, sometimes for no reason at all. Changing my child's diapers is a nightmare. But the world is not going to cater to your needs. Best to get used to that. Now for the update. So, my brother's girlfriend texted me that she wanted to meet up to drop off the blanket to me. When I dropped them off, I grabbed the bags out of my trunk and handed them to them. I did not ask for the blankets back as I didn't know if they had anything on underneath, and I really just wanted to go to bed. By this point it was like 4:30 a.m. She came over to my apartment, joked about if she had to undress to come inside, and handed me back my blanket. She said it was very soft and comfortable, and she apologized for not giving it back that night, but she was kinda buck naked underneath it. She actually washed it in unscented detergent. She thanked me for coming to get them the other night, apologized for freaking out, and explained a few things. My brother had told her the trains ran all night. He wanted to stay with these friends of his and she couldn't stand the smell in there. She had called several friends, none of whom were willing to come get her at 2 a.m. He claimed our mother didn't keep her phone on that late, which is why he called me. He kept insisting that I'd never let them in the car and they should just stay there. I think he called me there just so I would refuse and they could stay there. She's the one who suggested they shower so it wouldn't be so bad for me. I guess she didn't realize how bad my issues were. Since my brother lives with our parents, she thinks he wants some alone time with her since they almost never get to spend overnights together. She didn't even realize that I suggested they strip. When I handed her the blanket and the bag, I didn't hear my brother say to her, "Let's just stay here." She thought I was giving her a blanket to sleep, and that's when she stormed off. When she was walking away, she took us all off Facebook because she was done with my brother. She added me back. When he caught up, he suggested again that they just stay there. He told her that I had told her the only way they could ride was if they stripped off their clothes and went home in blankets. She told him, "I feel gross, I want my bed. I don't care at this point. Let's just go." When they came back, he suggested the windows were rolled down. When I refused, she started undressing, so he went along with it. As for why they didn't call Uber, he didn't want to and she didn't want to ride in one alone drunk for an hour. Miraculously, she's not done with my brother. She's pissed at him for lying to her and stranding her without a ride back, but she is going over there tomorrow to talk. She loves the butthead, as she put it. She's made him a lot more focused and she's been good for him, so I'm happy that she's sticking with him for now. I feel a lot better after talking to her. Comment 1. Your brother is really manipulative. Like, this is not okay at all. He put you and her into very uncomfortable situations. I don't care how good she is for him. I hope she walks away. Then the original poster responded with, "If I were her, I would have." I'm not thrilled with him right now. However, I know how devastated he's been and I know he's been promising to be honest and open with her and be a better person. I hope he lives up to it. Comment 2. Happy this worked out for you. I'm sorry to say that I'm not so happy that she's taking your brother back, however. This doesn't seem like a good match for her. Hopefully she has enough support in her life and your brother learns to act better in the future. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for grounding my daughter for being inappropriate to her stepbrother? To start off, my ex-wife and I split up when my daughter was about 4 years old. It was an amicable decision, and I are still friends. We have had dinners together with our daughter at least once every couple of months since the divorce. My daughter loves these times, and we get to talk about boring co-parenting stuff when we finish dinner and our daughter is out of earshot. I met my current wife when my daughter was 10, and she had a 13-year-old son. They got along, but she always seemed to want to hang out with him more than he wanted to be with her. I didn't think anything of it, just figured she thought he was cool and looked up to him. She used to beg for the two of them to have sleepovers in the living room and things. My stepson has never complained to me about this. My daughter is now 12 and my stepson is 15. And we live a pretty boring life together. But last week I heard my daughter scream crying from her brother's room. I went to investigate, and he was standing there, fists clenched and red in the face. My daughter was laying on the ground, sobbing and hyperventilating. Immediately I separated the two, and I started by talking to my daughter. She told me that her stepbrother said he hated her and didn't ever want her to talk to him again, and then pushed her to where I found her. I went to my stepson after talking to my daughter and confronted him. He admitted to the words but not the shoving. And he told me something that really freaked me out. He had just taken a shower and had come out from the bathroom to his room, but apparently he didn't hear the door latch closed. When he had finished getting dressed and turned to leave, he saw that the door was cracked and my daughter was on the other side. That's when he flipped out on her and told her to leave her alone and not to ever talk to him. I honestly didn't know what to think. I went back to my daughter, and after a bit of prodding she confessed and said she was curious and seemed really embarrassed. I got really upset and told her what an invasion of privacy that was and how she would like it if she found someone looking at her to change the way he found her. I told her I was going to take away her laptop and her phone. She freaked out. She called my ex before I knew it, and when she handed me the phone, my ex was on speaker scolding me for something so trivial. That every preteen/teenager gets curious sometimes. I told her it didn't matter. Her curiosity shouldn't impede my stepson's safety in my house, and vice versa if it happened the other way around. My daughter started screaming that she wanted to live with her mom, and the next day my ex came to pick her up. My daughter is refusing to answer my calls or come for visitation, which used to be 50-50 split. My ex-wife says she's appalled by my clear favoritism towards my stepson, and I just want my daughter back. Am I the idiot? Should I apologize? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, your daughter was being inappropriate. You should point out to your ex that she would be pissed if your stepson did it to your daughter. If it's inappropriate for one, it's inappropriate for the other. Then the original poster responded with, when I said that during our initial conversation, she said something like, "That's different, he's older and therefore has more power over her." That's not word for word and made me upset to hear. Comment 2. Not the idiot. All hell would have broken loose if you'd allowed your stepson to peek at your daughter while she changed clothes and not punish him for it. Your ex is an idiot, and you need to go to court and have the custody agreement upheld if she continues on with her nonsense. Now for the update. A lot has happened since my last post. I have been D&D asking for an update. It's been a long time since my last post, and a lot of the advice and support given was so heartwarming. Now on to the update. My ex-wife for a long time was on my daughter's side. Eventually her and I had a long discussion, and it was clear after that my daughter had twisted the story to seem more accidental. We both agreed that staying with my ex was the best for her until she agrees to seek therapy. 2 weeks ago she finally relented and started her first session on Thursday. My wife and stepson all discussed the idea of her coming back for visitation once she's had the help she needs. We even installed a padlock on my stepson's door, his request, to make him feel more safe. We plan on going back to our monthly dinners with my ex and daughter slowly, but hoping that therapy will help her. My stepson refused therapy and said he just doesn't trust her like he used to. I want to thank everyone for their advice and kind words, and I'd like to thank the mod team for dealing with my BS regarding this whole post. In a few weeks, if my daughter is comfortable, I may join to get a better perspective on what she's thinking. I'm truly hopefully that things will get better over time, but this has been a huge improvement. Considering she absolutely refused every time it was brought up and tried to say her stepbrother was the problem. Edit. A lot of people have asked why my ex and I believe therapy was necessary over what happened. So I will just copy and paste a comment I made to one of the users asking the aforementioned question. The therapy is to get to the root of the issue of why she not only lied, tried to claim her stepbrother pushed her, and refused to admit she did anything wrong despite multiple conversations. She kept sticking to the lie that her brother pushed her for no reason. I want her to have a therapist to help understand her thought process because it's pretty scary if I'm being honest. Not only that, but the fact my stepson says he doesn't trust her leads me to believe there may be more to the story that therapy could help illuminate. Not to punish her for having curiosity, but her curiosity should never impede on another person's privacy. Comment 1. Yes, it was wrong what she did. I understand the son being highly embarrassed and infuriated. That being said, young developing children deal with a lot of changes and curiosities. This deserved a strong response in the form of a discussion and perhaps some reasonable punishment. But it sounds like everyone involved is taking this way to the extreme. Perhaps pressure from your new wife? Kids do stupid poop, trust me, I know. But cutting off regular contact with your daughter, sending her to therapy, etc., for one instance of juvenile idiocy without a pattern of messed up behavior, is over the top, to me. You could have done as I said above and just closely monitored the situation thereafter to be sure further steps were not necessary. But instead, you jumped right to the extreme IMO. Comment 2. Good on respecting your stepson's feelings, but remember their relationship may never get back to what it used to be. Don't try to force it. She has torpedoed it. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for an ex-friend's dog getting taken away and possibly put down? My dog, Coda, Chihuahua mix, is scared of other dogs. He actively goes out of his way to avoid other dogs and even hides behind me on walks when other dogs come by. I have a vest that says not dog friendly so people know this. My sister recently bought a puppy, Rhino, a Shih Tzu Australian Shepherd mix, and we introduced him slowly to Coda and he's gotten along with him. No signs of aggression or fear. Rhino has no prior training of any kind. A week ago my ex-friend, Allie, asked if her dog King, Mastiff, could have a playdate with Coda. King is a nice dog but he plays way too rough with smaller dogs and Allie doesn't correct him, so I said no and offered for him to meet Rhino, who is bigger. She got mad and called me many nasty names because I stayed firm on my no. Incident. This morning while me and my sister were drying Coda and Rhino off from their baths, Allie pulled up with King in her car. My sister immediately took Rhino to the backyard since Coda was getting a little anxious with King's barking. Allie got out, and I started yelling at her to keep King in the car. I didn't want to move in fear Coda would bolt since we don't have a fence in our front yard. Allie said this would help Coda and opened the back door to her car. King bolted from her car straight at me. Coda started yelping and trying to get out of my arms. I tried to pick Coda up so King wouldn't get to him, but I tripped. I don't really know what happened at that moment because I had a panic, but from what my sister told me, Rhino slipped out the back gate and jumped at King. He kept barking and biting at King until he ran back to Allie. My mom came out and helped me get in the house so I could calm down while my sister grabbed Rhino. At some point one of them called the cops and animal control took King from Allie. Allie then tried to get them to take Rhino because he attacked King. But we showed them security footage that showed Allie starting the whole mess. The police forced her to leave and my sister filed a police report. I'd been getting angry texts from Allie and her family calling me cruel and evil for causing Allie to lose King, and how he was going to wrongly be put down because I couldn't control my dogs. I truly feel like this is my fault, but at the same time I don't know since King isn't an aggressive dog. Am I the idiot here? Edit. Allie was the one to call the police. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, nowhere near. You repeatedly asked your friend not to bring her dog. When she showed up uninvited, you asked her to leave the dog in the car. I get that King was likely a big baby and just wanted to play, but it ran straight for you and your sister's dog took that as a threat. As far as your friend's family, it's none of their business. You have texts, hopefully, asking Allie not to bring the dog. I'm sorry the dog had to be taken away, but this is on Allie. Comment 2. Not the idiot, your dogs were on your property. But if they aren't under your full control, they really should be on a leash or contained by a fence, for their own safety. I don't think Allie was necessarily an idiot, but that certainly was a stupid thing for her to do, and she completely disregarded what you told her, which actually, yeah, that's a prick move. I hope she's learned her lesson, but even though she's responsible for instigating the whole thing, because your dogs weren't restrained, I think you have to take partial responsibility. Then the original poster responded with, "They are well trained, but I have expressed both dogs are still working with a trainer. I will admit I should have had them on a leash, but I was confident since they don't bolt out of the yard after things." Coda will bolt to get away from other dogs, but he bolts under the house and refuses to come out for a few days. I will accept partial responsibility over my dogs being unleashed. Now for the update. So, I finally have an update on Allie and King. I had blocked everyone that was part of Allie's family so that I wouldn't have them blowing up my phone. But I did run into Allie's uncle and King at the vet, who explained what happened after I blocked everyone, and I learned that 1. Allie lied to her family about what happened, and 2. King isn't registered as her dog. For the first half, she had told her family that I had arranged the doggy play date with our dogs, and that Rhino got aggressive with King and attacked him, and that I got King sent to the pound. So that's why they had harassed me about what had happened. The second thing was that because King wasn't registered as her dog, they had to call her uncle, who was the registered owner, to go pick him up. There they informed him about what actually happened, as well as the fines and classes for King. Her uncle was livid because he had trusted that Allie had stopped doing things like this a long time ago, incidents I had no clue about. So he went back to Allie's home, she lives with her parents, and blew up at her in front of her family, who had gathered to support her. He even showed her parents the police report of the incident. Her family were mortified that they had wrongly harassed me, and they tried to apologize. Her uncle in particular was very angry because that was his name on King that got dragged into the mess. So not only is she going to be the one paying the fine and going to the pet classes with her uncle, her parents also took away her right to have a pet for as long as she lives under their roof. Also, for those that wanted to know, Coda and Rhino are doing fine. Coda actually made his first big doggy friend last week with an older pit bull named Rex. This was done in a safe, controlled environment with a trainer. Comment 1. Regardless of what they heard from Allie, harassing you was unnecessary. It's great that the truth came out, but frick that while family, except maybe the uncle. Comment 2. Glad all the pups are okay. And I'm also glad Allie got caught in her lies and is having to deal with the fallout. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not letting my friends move into my house? I'm female 20. I had a rather difficult upbringing, single mother, absent father, lived below the poverty line most of my life, type poop. When my uncle on my dad's side found out I existed last year, he purchased a house for me in the city I live in to essentially make up for my dad being a POS. I also live in Ireland, where there's a major housing crisis going on. It's a 3-bed 2-bath. But I turn the living room into my bedroom because I'm lazy and don't want to go up and downstairs all the time, so technically 4. I'm really proud of how I've decorated it, kept it clean, and managed all of the bills myself for the last year. I'm also grateful that I won't have to struggle to find affordable rent like a lot of my friends do. The issue I'm having is that 4 of my friends, 2 couples, are being evicted from their houses before the year is out and are struggling to find places to rent. I love these 4 people more than anything, but they're sloppy and have a tendency to host after parties and stuff. Their current house has bottles and cans everywhere. Dishes are never cleaned. They somehow have a slug problem. I let a 5th friend, who was having some serious financial trouble, move in with me because she needed the help and she's cleaner and calmer. The 4 friends being evicted caught wind of this, and knowing I do technically have 2 free bedrooms, asked could they move in as well when their lease is up. I said no, because I do not want 6 people living in my house, especially people who are not properly house trained and will absolutely disrupt my current lifestyle. I don't want to have my space invaded so much, because honestly, it's mine and I want to keep it mine. I told them I won't let them move in with me unless they actually end up sleeping on the streets, and even then I'd have my reservations. The 4 friends think I'm being an idiot, but I don't think I am, because it's my house and I decided who gets to live here. They're all not talking to me and I'm not too sure what to do with the situation now. Am I the idiot? Edit. I forgot to mention, they are being evicted because the property is being sold, and I believe it was demolished to make way for something else, but I'm not 100% certain on that. There's no update, so here's a few comments. This is a clear not the idiot, just don't be like. If you clean up then yes, since they won't, and it will end badly. Comment 2. Not the idiot, you have a very specific lifestyle, and they don't live the same way you do. Then the original poster responded with, I'll be completely honest, I do live the same lifestyle, I just don't like the idea of my space becoming the place to facilitate that lifestyle. I still sesh with them, but very rarely in my own house. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Just because they're your friends doesn't mean they're entitled to live in your house. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot? Called my mom's fiancé a creep. I, 17 male, have been going through some pretty rough months in my family. There was tension between my mom and dad. They weren't talking to each other, and when they did, it was only to fight. After months of constant fighting, they decided to get divorced. That was 2 years ago. And NGL, when they divorced, the one who suffered the most was my dad. He never put on a sad face when he was with us, but I could hear him cry in his room when he thought we were asleep. For the record, I am the youngest and I have a brother, male 19, and a sister, 20F. After this, the fighting didn't stop, so now they fight for which of us loves them more. If I am honest, my siblings and I are inclined with my dad. He has always taken good care of us, helps us through everything, and he listens to us. Not like my mom. She has never been there. There have always been more important things to attend to or pay attention to rather than us. I never minded since my dad was always there. My mom is a pretty important lawyer in our city. Meanwhile, my dad has a PhD in physics and works as a college professor. After their divorce, we stayed with my dad. We see my mom like 1 day per week and only if she has time. We kinda never see her because she always reschedules. So months ago, my mom told us she was going to get married to this dude who we had never seen. His name is Richard, but asked us to call him Rick. She said we all should get along. Since then it has been a nightmare. Don't get me wrong, he is cool I guess, but I do find him a bit odd. He always tries to spend his time with me and buys me stuff like clothes, books, etc. He even asks me when I'm available so we can have dinner. I mean, I'm polite towards him, but I just can't connect with him. I feel like it's a forced relationship. And he is not like that with my other siblings. Well, my dad too, he is civil towards him, but there's def tension between them. Last week my brother wanted to try a new recipe. He loves cooking, so he invited my mom and Rick. At first, we were surprised my mom and dad kept civil with each other. We were having a nice conversation. But Rick kept complimenting us, specifically me. That I was an incredible person, very smart, blah blah. My dad agreed, but this dude kept insisting we were so much alike, and that by spending so much time with him he considers me already his son. That def hurt my dad, and I just lost it. I told him to leave me alone. He was being a creep. My dad told me to not call Rick names, and my mom did too. She told me that I was being a brat, and that I should behave cause Rick will be part of my family, and another parental figure to me. I said he wouldn't, and that I won't go to her wedding if she marries a creep like him. I stormed off and went to my room. My siblings don't think I am in the wrong here, but my mom insists I was a spoiled brat, and I should apologize to Rick. Am I the idiot? No, damn. I only came here to find out if I was in the wrong. I just don't know what to say to you. I added the quotation marks to be sarcastic since I don't think we look so alike as he says. Now you really have me worried and wondering, and he too, so I didn't want to address this with my dad right away, so I consulted in first my sis. She is the most intelligent person I know, so I asked her. She had the same feeling as me, that Rick was getting way too close to me, and in comparison to her, he is stone cold. Now every time Rick wants to spend time with me, they'll be there too, and in Leo, my brother. And just like you guys, she asked me to talk to my dad. I did. I sat with my dad and told him about everything, that I didn't feel comfortable around Rick anymore. I appreciated all the effort, but he was pushing way too hard my boundaries. And like you advised, if mom doesn't understand she can't force a relationship with an actual stranger on me, then I'd rather stop seeing her. My dad understood. He asked me to forgive him for not knowing my feelings toward Rich. He did say that Rick is trying the best he can to get to know each one of us, but he has no say on when we should open up or act like a stalker. He said he'll talk to them, but I told him I'd rather do it since mom may act like I am not being serious or worse. We'll have dinner with them, and Leo and I, next Wednesday, so wish me luck. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Follow your instincts. If Rick comes off as creepy to you, then he's being creepy. Comment 2. I'll probably be against everybody, but I'd say everyone sucks here or you're the idiot. Rick might be a little bit weird to you, but based on what you wrote, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. I do think what he said was weird, and I'm sure it's going to be uncomfortable for you and your dad. The thing is, you shouldn't have lashed out like that. You're still young, even if you're almost an adult. In a legal sense, sure you are, but in an emotional and mental sense you still have a lot to learn. Now for the update. Hi, so this has been a wild week and I wanted to thank you for your comments and suggestions. They helped me through this. As I said in my last edit, we went to dinner. At first, everything was silent, but then Ann broke the ice by thanking my mom and Rick for spending time with us and that we should discuss important matters. I didn't know about this, but my mom has been awful to Ann and Leo this week. They addressed that if she wants us to be part of her life, then some changes should be made. After they established their points, it was my turn. I started by stating Rick's presence has been bothering me since day one. Even if I should have said something about it, it didn't justify his behavior. I appreciate the effort, but he has crossed my boundaries, and even if I am willing to have a relationship as friends with him, I not offer that option anymore if he continues this way. Also, I'll soon be an adult, so I don't need a parental figure. I already have one. Then pointed out that my mom was allowing this kind of behavior, and it is wrong. If she is not willing to act as a parent and understand my feelings, not only mine but my siblings too, then we'd rather cut our losses. My mom tried to justify her actions. Rick told her to shut up and listen to us. She stormed out of the restaurant, but he stayed. He looked sad and apologized for all this. He didn't mean for this to happen. He asked Ann and Leo if they could give us some space so he and I could talk. Leo grabbed me, but Ann gave him a look, so he let go of me and went to a closed table. Rick apologized again, saying he is not like that and the feeling he might not connect with me took out the best on him. Then told me he is my bio dad. My mom was supposed to tell me today, but she cowardly left. He doesn't expect me to accept him in my life, but if ever want to know him or need anything, he'll always be there. When we came back home, I asked my dad. He hugged me and told me everything he knew about it. The thing is, they don't know. The reason my parents divorced was because my mom cheated on him, and after she broke up with Rick, she was pregnant with me. My dad suspected it but never confirmed it. When they divorced, my mom out of rage told him I wasn't his son. Then Rick contacted him to talk about it. He told me, however, I feel it's okay. I shouldn't feel pressured to act in a certain way. If I want to get tested, he'll help me, and no matter what that paper says, his love for me won't change. I'll always be his son. I'm not sure how to feel, but I asked Rick to give me space so I could think about all of this. Also asked my dad if we could just simply be out of our mom's life. I don't want to be involved with her, and neither my siblings. If I am honest, I don't know if I ever want to get tested or at the least allow Rick to be part of my life. But I feel grateful for the family I have, and all the support and love my dad and siblings have given to me. Edit. I wish I had answers for your questions related to the reason for my existence. As I said, I haven't talked to Rick since that night, and I guess I didn't have the courage to ask. This whole thing has drained me, and I am not sure if I even want to know. Guess that'll only make things worse, the perception I have of my mom, as if it wasn't as bad as it is now, and also in terms of Rick. If she lied to him or not, or why he neglected me for years. For the moment, I don't want to know. I don't think it will add something meaningful to me. So I guess I'd leave it like that for now. One thing I may be doing is getting tested, to have a complete medical record. Comment 1. Not the idiot, and glad you have more info. Sounds like Rick might be okay, just a bit awkward, a bit trying to make up for things. Maybe it would be worth giving him a chance. That's up to you. Really, this sounds like a mess your mom created and sustained. Understand why you want to be away from her. It is possible that Rick has mixed feelings about your mom and that he might want a relationship with you more than with her. Hard to tell. Anyway, it's your choice how to approach all this. Take your time. This will take time. Comment 2. You don't owe your mother or Rick anything. She hasn't been acting like a mother, and Rick, even if he donated a sperm cell, has never been your father. You have a father. Don't try to have a relationship with your mother and Rick unless and until you are ready. You owe them nothing. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my friend's girlfriend that I am not her friend? My female 19 friend Jake, male 20, have been friends since my freshman year of college. When the fall semester started, he told me that he got a girlfriend. I was excited for him and asked who the lucky girl was. He told me her name was Catherine and showed me a picture of her. I instantly recognized her as my middle school bully. A couple of things she did to me was made fun of my physical features such as my hair and skin tone. I'm black. Told me several times and in front of others that I'm too ugly for anyone to like. Spread around the rumor that I was pregnant, resulting in me losing several friends afterward. Jake would sometimes bring Catherine when we were playing games in the basement of the library. She seemed like she has changed for the better since middle school, but I just couldn't bring myself to be around her. We would have small talk here and there, but I just avoided her because I didn't want to interact with her too much. I told Jake that Catherine seemed nice, but I wasn't vibing with her. He was a little sad since he wanted us to be friends, but he understood. Here is where I might be the idiot. I'm on winter break, so I decided to go to the mall. I bumped into Catherine and Jake there. They were with 2 other people. Jake saw me and waved for me to come over. He introduced them as his siblings and told me that they were with Catherine to hang out. Before I could introduce myself, Catherine told them my name and stated that I was the friend she was talking about. I immediately said, "No, we are not friends." Jake's siblings looked at me with a surprised look. She huffed and said that I couldn't possibly still be holding what she did in middle school over her head, that she has changed since that time and she was just a kid. I told her that is exactly the reason why I can't be friends with her. She sneered at me, called me a resentful B-word, and walked away. Jake apologized to me for the scene Catherine just made, and he and his siblings went after her. I told my friend what happened, and she told me I should have snapped like that and just pretended to be her friend because I made the whole group feel embarrassed. After she said that, I felt like an idiot because I had already forgiven Catherine for my peace of mind. I just couldn't bring myself to ever be friends with her, as she did a lot to hurt me. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot at all. Catherine never apologized for what she did, and TBH, her bullying sounds a lot more like racism than just regular middle school mean girl BS, so the fact she's trying to brush it off is just gross. You're completely in the right for saying you're not friends, and your friend who said you should have just kept the peace should have kept their mouth shut. Make it clear to those around you that what Catherine did wasn't just ignoring you in the halls or not inviting you to her birthday party. Your friends need to know the scope of what she did and how she hurt you. Comment 2. Not the idiot, she is still a bully. She was trying to use you by claiming you were friends to make herself look good because she knows you are friends with her new BF. When you clarified that you aren't actually friends, she verbally attacked you and tried to make you seem like the problem. This is textbook gaslighting/bullying. Now for the update. Hey guys. It's been a while, so I wanted to give you an update. Thank you guys for all of your nice words. You guys made me realize that Catherine hasn't changed and I shouldn't feel bad for setting the record straight. A lot of you told me that I should talk to Jake about what she pulled, and I did. A week after I posted on Reddit, I decided to call him and ask him if we could meet up and talk about the mall incident. He said of course, and we met up later that day. It was honestly a bit nerve-wracking because I just don't like talking about it, but ultimately, Jake does deserve the truth about the person he is dating. When we met up, I told him about all the bullying in the past and the trauma Catherine put me through. I apologized for not sharing this information about her sooner because I valued our friendship and I didn't want to get in the way because I thought she had changed for the better. Jake thanked me for my apology and told me that he appreciates that I was trying to look out for him. He then apologized for putting me in that kind of situation and told me I didn't have to worry about Catherine anymore. I asked what he meant. Jake told me that shortly after they got back from the mall, they got into a huge argument. Apparently Jake tried to inquire more about what happened between us in middle school and she refused to say anything. I'm guessing that she didn't want to make herself look bad. Jake said that he had this gut feeling that she must have done something to hurt me in the past, so he decided to ultimately break up with her. She broke into tears and asked why, and he told her that he couldn't be with someone who lies about things like friendship. He also finds her reaction to my honesty to be disrespectful, and if she was going to act like that if someone exposes her lies, he wasn't going to be the one to put up with it. Jake took her home, and he told me she was going from being passive-aggressive and whiny to ugly sobbing. It was a mess. As soon as Jake got home, he blocked her and hasn't heard or seen her since, which is good. After we finished talking about Catherine, we decided to get some ice cream and talk about games instead. As for her, I haven't seen Catherine on campus since. Have no idea what happened to her, but I kinda hope it stays like that. I truly hope she does become better, it just won't be at my expense. Comment 1. That's a great friend you have on your hands. A lot of people would throw their friends away for their partner, no matter what they did. I'm glad he stood up for you, and he wins too cause he got rid of someone who tries to bury their past through lies instead of atoning for it. Comment 2. Go Jake for being a great friend, and good on you for being upfront about what happened to him. Glad everything worked out for you, OP. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.